the hermit of Observatory Hill. The sea was a hungry beast that had swallowed the ship Calliope whole, leaving nothing but splintered wood and salt-stung memories. Elias Thorne stood alone on the black volcanic sands, the only soul to escape the depths. Around him lay the meager scraps of his former life, a few crates tossed up by the tide, and the deafening silence of an uncharted shore. He was a king of a kingdom made of ash and spray. Survival was not a choice, but a labor. With a scavenged adze and a rusted saw rescued from a floating chest, Elias began to shape the wild wood of the island's interior. Each stroke of the blade was a defiance against the island's indifference. He worked until his palms blistered and his back ached, turning driftwood and fallen branches into the sturdy bones of a sanctuary. The nights were the hardest, when the stars mocked him with their distant light. By the flickering glow of a small fire, Elias ate his meager ration of dry hardtack. He held his water-stained Bible close, the ink blurred but the words still a bridge to a world that felt increasingly like a dream. The book was his only anchor to a life he feared he was forgetting. He knew he needed a vantage point to watch for rescue, so he climbed the highest ridge and named it Observatory Hill. Near the summit, he discovered a limestone cliff that promised a more permanent shelter. It was a grueling climb every day, but from that height he could see the vast empty horizon and feel the first cooling breath of the trade winds. He carved his life into the very heart of the cliff, building a fortified home within a natural limestone alcove. He used the stone to reinforce his walls and built a heavy wooden gate to keep out the elements. This was no longer just a camp, it was a fortress. Inside, he fashioned a bed of dried ferns and shelves for his few precious tools, creating a pocket of order in the wild. The island was home to a tribe of wild, nimble goats that roamed the volcanic crags. With endless patience and scraps of salt gathered from tide pools, Elias learned to lure them. Eventually, he tamed a few, creating a small herd that provided him with milk and the simple comfort of living breath. He spoke to them as if they understood his stories of the sea. 11 years passed in a slow blur of rising suns and seasonal storms. Elias's clothes became a patchwork of cured skins, and his hair and beard grew long and silvered. The island had reshaped him, sharpening his senses until he could hear the shift of the tide from a mile away. He had become a part of the volcanic earth, as much a fixture as the limestone itself. Then, a single mark in the sand changed everything. On a remote stretch of the southern beach where the turtles nested, Elias found a footprint. It was too large for his own and bore the distinct impression of a boot heel. A jolt of terror and hope surged through his chest, a feeling he hadn't known for over a decade. He was no longer the only man on the world's edge. The footprint led to a landing party, and the landing party led to the HMS Valiant. Captain Miller, a man of brass buttons and polished speech, reached out a hand to the wild-looking figure on the shore. Elias tried to speak, but his voice was a rusty hinge, unused to the music of human conversation. He realized with a shock that the world had moved on without him. As the merchant vessel pulled away from the shore, Elias stood at the stern, watching the island shrink. He saw the peak of Observatory Hill vanish into the mist and felt a strange, sharp ache. He was going home to England, yet he realized that a piece of his heart would forever remain in the limestone silence of his fortress. He was rescued, but he was already homesick for his solitude.